with Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, everybody? Jon Impemba with James Grande. Welcome to the Fantasyland NBA DFS Playbook Show. We have Friday main slate on tap, James. No 10 p.m. games here on the main slate for DraftKings. If you play over on FanDuel, no 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. games over there. Don't like it. Don't know why they do it, but this is the state of the NBA DFS that we are in right now. They're removing the late games from us here. So we got 11 games on this DraftKings main slate to talk about here tonight. Fortunately, we still have Atlanta, Indiana. 262 game total in that one right there. Fortunately, we still have Joel Embiid and a great matchup for him tonight against the New York Knicks. So a lot of fun things still to talk about on tonight's slate. Help you guys build your lineups. NBA DFS Playbook just went out and got published, so you can check all of that out while you're watching along with tonight's show.
And most fortunate of all, it is Friday. TGIF. And also, as you started talking, your Boston Celtics rolled Al Horford out. So
expected, right? We figured.
Yeah. Yep. So that is just another piece of tonight's puzzle that we're gonna have to figure out. That's probably not gonna move a 13.5 point line all too much, but Al Horford ruled out.
The murder cornet getting more minutes tonight probably isn't gonna do too much to change that.
No, interesting slate for sure because obviously the new midday news was Luka Doncic being downgraded to questionable. That's one of the biggest news pieces of the day, if not the biggest. Obviously, Kevin Durant is also listed questionable. Other than that, pretty much straightforward stuff. We already got the Tari Eason news. We already got the Dante Exum news. Levine and Vooch are both playing. I mean, there's not a lot of. It's the NBA, and there's plenty of news that could potentially break at some point. We do have the Nuggets on a back-to-back after a insane game. I don't know if you saw my tweet, John. They went up 18. I turned the game off. I said, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And then I saw Steve Kerr was also upset at Jokic for full court press.
Right.
I wonder how he's feeling today. Also, one of his best players wants to be traded. So a lot going on in the Warriors.
One of his best players, not in his eyes.
Correct. That's correct. Didn't play the final 16 minutes of the game. No big deal. But yeah, a lot going on. Or a lot has gone on. Not a lot of potential news other than Luka and Durant, unless there's something. But yes, as you mentioned in the open, thankfully Atlanta, Indiana is still on the slate. This is officially the in the last 30 years the highest game total we have had, and all three in the last 30 years have involved this year's Indiana Pacers.
Right. Last two times these two teams met, they went over 300 points. Not an exaggeration, actual thing that happened.
Isn't that just like we say that just like that was just such a casual thing? They just went over 300 points.
Yep. Gary in chat saying Al Horford ruled out. Yeah, we got that one. Again, doesn't really impact too much. I did like Kristaps Porzingis a bit today. Maybe Al Horford being ruled out kind of reinforces some of that zinger minutes here tonight, because we think that there's a chance maybe he doesn't play tomorrow on the second leg of the back-to-back against the Pacers here. So, we'll get the center. Of course, everybody, as we know, we go position by position. We talk about each. Give us our favorite plays from all. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Any comments, feel free to throw them in the chat. We appreciate you all tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button. Do so. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I don't know what you're waiting for on that either. Never miss a show when you hit subscribe. Get notified whenever we go live here over at Fantasy Alarm. Let's jump into it here, James. Taking a look at this 11-game main slate. We talked about the top tier plays in terms of pricing this morning. Luka Doncic was 11.6, and we debated whether he was not even really in our player pool. The midday downgrade doesn't really help that all that much. You got Joel Embiid at 11.5. You have the Joker on the back-to-back, SGA, Halliburton, and Young. All there up over 10K. Majority of that play coming from the point guard position. We asked you this morning. I'll ask you again. Has anything changed on your opinion of SGA, Halliburton, Young, and how you would rank them today?
I still hate this question. Salute to you, Cracker Jack. You right there. Happy weekend for some. There will programming note here. May or may not be a NBA DFS podcast for the Saturday slate.
There may or may not be. So
may or may not be an NBA podcast for the Saturday slate, which is a wrinkle that says the Prince.
Yep.
Salute to you, the Prince. Don't play Harrison Barnes tonight.
Not on the slate.
Not on the night slate. On night slate, right?
Sure.
On the night slate. No. To your question, I think Halliburton is still the guy, and it's really hard to get away from, what he's done and what his price has done, because his production has gone like this, his price has gone like this, and I don't really understand the correlation, because when he started this ascent back to where he was like earlier in the year, he was 10.6 and now he's 10.2, and he made it 9,900, and just doesn't make sense. And now you have a 261 total, and there's 2020 potential on the board. So I would still rank them Halliburton, Young, SGA. If you rank them Halliburton, SGA, Young, or if you rank them SGA, Halliburton, Young, I don't think there's necessarily a wrong answer. Right. I think that one of these guys, would it surprise you if all three go for 60 tonight?
No.
Like legit. Like if all three of them went for 60, would it shock you?
I would not be surprised.
So they're all very similar. Halliburton is top dog for me, but no, I don't think there's a wrong answer.
Okay. When we work our way down, we have Donovan Mitchell, obviously in a good spot for him there. We just saw it. He was on his way to just absolutely smashing it with 22 points in 24 minutes, 40 fantasy points in those 24 minutes. Again, if they don't go out here and have Max Strus score all those points, maybe Donovan Mitchell is out there for a little bit longer. Maybe those points go to him instead of Max Strus in that game. Still willing to play Mitchell in tournaments here today, but it's just the other matchups just make those guards more appealing, even though there's a discount on Mitchell tonight.
I was really curious what his ownership was going to come in at today, John, because it was super high the other day. He was he was half the field played Donovan Mitchell and was obviously let down because, he only played 24 minutes. Mm-hmm. Still super high. And I still can't blame anybody if they get there. He was
going to go for 65 fantasy points if he played 30 minutes in that game. So
Yep. Same spot. And Washington stinks. And they're the number one pace team in the NBA. And it's, all the same good stuff that we liked the other day. But you said it. If Cleveland just doesn't shoot what they did, Niang, Merrill, LeVert, nobody missed a shot.
Yeah.
Not a single person. Obviously, Strus was the catalyst early, but not everyone even checked in after that. Just make it.
LeVert had 40 fantasy points rather than that game as well. Jared Allen was a monster. Loving still Jared Allen for me tonight.
Right.
Tier down below, you got Devin Booker here at $9,200. Anthony Edwards against Houston. Both those guys with dual positional eligibility. We mentioned Edwards now point guard, shooting guard. That's a bit of a change. Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Maxey running up against one another here. We know Brunson, the assist totals, double-digit assists now in back-to-back games for Jalen Brunson here. James Harden still producing, even with George and Kawhi on the floor. Harden sort of asserting himself. And now this is a competitive game against Pelicans, just a 1-point spread. So, if you think maybe some of the tougher defenders for the Pelicans are going to be on George and Kawhi, that could lead some things up for Harden here.
The Clippers are kind of elite.
If they're going to play this way, yes.
Yeah, if Harden is going to be this complimentary because, 3 straight games of double-digit assists, including a 20-point double assist or double-double last game, blowing the doors off Miami, beating Phoenix in Phoenix. Those are back-to-back really good wins. They've won a lot since that rocky start with Harden. This tier's all guys you can play, right? Devin Booker has a ceiling. I don't know if we're going to get there. if Durant plays, because we don't know the status, and there's a
Right.
lot of cooks in the kitchen there, but you can. It's not like Devin Booker is going to ever take a backseat to anybody. He's
Right.
an elite player, so you can get to Booker. Edwards is definitely fine. Tough spot if you wanted to get to Edwards. We touched on Brunson's 27 assists in the last 2 games on last night's show. He is very safe. He's going to give you 40 fantasy points as a baseline, and then depending on the scoring and the assists, go from there. Like he has 60, 70 fantasy point upside. We know Maxi's a bucket, but that other guy on the team is that guy. Yeah, I forgot his name. It's easily
the thing
forgettable.
I think Maxi can get the assist when Joel Embiid's getting 10 plus assists. Right? So.
Yeah, so Maxi might score 35 and have 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and you're like, oh, that doesn't really cut it. Because Joel has 30, 10, and 15 again. Because,
right. Where does Kyrie Irving rank for you? If this game was to, if no Luka Doncic tonight, Irving would have been probably a 10K play had we known ahead of time, I would imagine, right? Somewhere in that range.
So we've seen this before this year, and he was really bad without Luka. And I'm not saying that will be the case because every spot is different, right? Every situation is different.
We also have a long history of Kyrie Irving being an elite basketball player.
We also have a long history of Kyrie Irving being super elite. So if it at all worries you, don't let it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll say there are interesting kind of numbers here with Kyrie without Luka and Dante Exum off the floor because they ruled Exum out as well. 1.1 fantasy points per minute is very good on the average player scale.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie Irving, not the average player. So that's a little concerning when you're playing the game of well, he's the first person I'm plugging in if Luka's out, right? Also, a 24.5% usage rate is significantly lower than I would expect Kyrie Irving's usage rate to be without Luka and Dante Exum off the floor. Again, I'm not necessarily sitting here saying I am not getting to Kyrie because I definitely would get to Kyrie against Portland, who has a lot of young, promising talent, but they are that, and they are not at all a good team.
Sure. Yeah, last year without Kyrie on Luka rather on the floor, 1.3 and a 30% usage rate for Kyrie Irving. So we know he can be there.
Right? Isn't that just weird? A little bit though.
Yeah, I mean, without deep diving really into the scenarios, he's missed a lot of time. Depending on what the actual sort of spots where he was in and out and all that stuff. But if he starts a game without Luka Doncic, I mean, maybe there's a better spot for him against Portland versus whatever the matchup was and where Luka was out that last time. So
it was December 1st. Versus Memphis. And he played 35 minutes. He was 3 of 15 from the floor. Derek Jones, Josh Green, Grant Williams, Derek Lively. So basically, the starting 5 was there.
Yeah, he just missed all of his shots that night.
And he just missed all of his shots. He played a lot of minutes. I guess no Tim Hardaway in that game. Either, which
followed it up by going for 26 points in 27 minutes against Utah.
Yeah, of course, because but that was the game. I remember. I believe I was in the playbook, and I was like, jam him, play him, no matter what. Kyrie over here, and I feel like I'm not again. Different
the pricing on Kyrie in this one also kind of helps as well. He was 91 then, he's 84 now.
Correct. So. For sure. And it's Portland. Memphis, I'm not saying Memphis was good back then, but I believe Marcus Smart was healthy in that game. And Portland is definitely going through some they have no rim protection tonight because all their bigs are out. And their stars are limited, Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons. They're playing Scoot Henderson, who is very foul happy. It's an advantageous spot for Kyrie. I guess I'll ask you because I'm a little, I obviously there was a shadow of doubt in my tone. Where would he rank amongst the top guys with you if Luka's ruled
out? I mean, I think he'd be in the same conversation with like Mitchell for me, probably.
Oh, so that's
I put him in top five.
That's a solid. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a solid.
I'm a believer in the long-term talent of a player in the matchup.
Right,
So,
of course.
I think he could go out and score 40 actual tonight. Like, it's not out of the realm of possibility. So, I put him ahead of Maxey, Harden, Brunson, Edwards.
Agreed.
Terry Rozier is just below him, not just below, but same price tag. We know what Rozier is capable of doing. It's a pace down spot, obviously, against Chicago, slowest paced team on the board. You have Tyler Hero. Kyle Lowry is back. I don't know, had played the other day. I don't know if that has much to do with anything. He's still, the guy here. So not too concerned about the 28 minutes. Again, that was a game they won by almost 20. So when he plays, he still had 41 fantasy points in the 28 minutes there. So happy to get there. Anybody else for you in this mid-tier range?
Mid-tier, Van Vliet, McCollum, I think are both perfectly fine plays. We know McCollum's GPP upside, Tari Eason out. There's a lot of reliance upon the Rockets starting five in that when guys like Tari Eason are out, because they just don't have the depth with Eason and Brooks both out.
Right.
So him, McCollum for sure. Just get him 36 minutes, There's been a lot of low 30s because blowouts or just not the need to play him in the fourth quarters.
Right.
I don't dislike Trey Murphy being out of the lineup for CJ because Trey Murphy is a guy who takes a lot of shots when he's out there. So that opens up the floor for McCollum. Beal obviously is intriguing to me if there's no Kevin Durant. I think there's multiple things we can point to, but the 41 minutes for me, I talked about it on the podcast this morning, that signifies all systems go.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd love him 72 if they're all healthy, but also the fact that he can play 40 minutes and take 20 shots is very encouraging.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure. Would you rather play Beal or McCollum if you had to pick one?
Beal if there's no Kevin Durant.
Okay.
McCollum if Kevin Durant plays.
How are you approaching the Orlando guards here?
I mean, there's just a lot of question marks. I love that Cole Anthony's not on the injury report. After, just randomly being scratched and downgraded. Jalen Suggs, who I found out today is Tyrese Halliburton's cousin. Which I just random tidbits thrown out there. 6,800 is uncomfortable. 6,500 for Cole Anthony is uncomfortable because the minutes. I understand the production is there. What would you project Cole Anthony's minutes to be tonight? If you had to
I think he's probably pretty safe at the 25, 26 minutes.
That's probably where I project.
There's a ceiling for what his minutes could be.
I just don't know. Yeah, there's definitely a ceiling, and they might need to tap into it, obviously, with Franz not being there.
But I mean, he's pretty consistently been playing 23, 24. He got 26, obviously, in the overtime game. Didn't play much in that Phoenix game, so feels like an anomaly based off his usage patterns. Did get 33 minutes against Milwaukee and broke the slate. He had 46 fantasy points. So, no Fultz, no Franz Wagner. If they start needing the scoring, they'll put Cole Anthony on the floor. It's just his size hurts them, right? He's just so small. So,
yeah, and I think that could hurt against Denver. I understand Wagner's out, and I understand Fultz is out, but, who's he? I mean, he's going to guard Jamal Murray for extended periods of time. Jamal Murray's going to put him in a blender. Jamal Murray is one of the best post guards in NBA. That's not the. I'm a little worried about Anthony.
Well, should be the guy that's on Jamal Murray in that case.
I know. I'm saying.
Or Black, who's 6'5".
No, I'm not saying. Yeah, but there's ways to manipulate a defense and get them switched on.
So you have those guards there. One of them would not surprise me if they have a good night tonight. Denver on the back-to-back, obviously an emotional win there. Helps Denver being home, but still. I would not surprise me if one of those guys had themselves a day. Under 6K range, there's Giddey, didn't play any minutes last time out. Maybe he gets back to playing minutes tonight at $5,900. I put Kyle Lowry in the player grid. I think at 5,200, he's a good price tag if he's going to actually play the 25, 26 minutes that we've seen out of him now in the last couple of games here. I'm fine going there if you want to. And then you got to figure out what's going on with the Indiana guards.
Yeah. I'm definitely more skeptical on Lowry than you, but you're right. If he plays minutes, we just never can predict Miami. Like we both talked about Nikola Jovic today. The ownership's going to Nikola Jovic today, who might not even play. Like they could just start Jamal Cain, and we'd be like, oh, okay, Nikola Jovic not playing today, great. I'm okay on Lowry. I think this tier kind of stinks in general.
Sure.
I think the one interesting note on today's point guard ownership list is DeLon Wright getting a lot of ownership love.
Just figuring out just the blowout, I would imagine.
And no Landry Shamet. So like maybe he's picking up a couple extra minutes, but like I know DeLon, you and I have talked about DeLon Wright for a long time. Like he's pretty good at basketball as like a backup point guard for wherever he goes.
He's not even really giving us the production I'm used to getting out of him lately.
Right. Either, so. Well, I was going down that path too. Like, I don't think I would really have much interest. He's really cheap. There might be a blowout run in his cards. He's operating as the backup point guard to begin with, but like, I mean, what has he done since being back?
0 for 3, 1 for 2, 2 for 3. Like, I would like to see more offense out of him when he's on the floor there. The only other value guys we talked about, obviously Jose Alvarado, 20 plus minutes, no Trey Murphy. The minutes should be there for him. Here against the Clippers, he's going to have to guard James Harden or Russell Westbrook. So they're going to have him, out there on the floor. So I like that at $4,100. Then just sort of the hat tip to Peyton Pritchard. I think he's going to get 20 plus minutes tonight. They're a 14.5 point favorite. They're on the front end of a back-to-back. We know they've rested Drew Holiday seemingly at times. They played Peyton Pritchard over Drew Holiday at the end of that game against OKC. So I think Pritchard for me is fine for me here.
I agree, Peyton Pritchard. Also, like I'm looking to Prince on YouTube here, and we look good on my end. So I don't know if it's
just could be a connection issue. It happens sometimes.
Yeah, just refresh to Prince and see if you can come back and get us going.
Shooting guard here, guys we've talked about already: Mitchell, Booker, Edwards, Irving, Rozier. You hit the tier there. Paul George at 83, Ingram at 82, Jaylen Brown being $8,000 here. We like the JB price in the past whenever he was under 8K. He's sitting at 8K now. So any interest in that group?
No. I mean, Ingram is solid. Brown's fine. All the eligibilities here are pretty solid.
Yeah.
But nothing that like really stands out to me.
I like Paul George tonight. I'm good there. Mid-tier range then. I mean, what's your tell me where you're going then at shooting guard. Like, what's your first plug?
Small forward.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's obviously guys with multi-positional eligibility that can play both positions. Nembar just officially ruled out, by the way.
So McConnell will operate as the backup point guard.
Yep.
That's the one thing we know. Should get the Bruce Brown news following, I assume, because we still have the Bruce Brown questionable tag. I
mean, you have Bogdan at 61, Levert's here at 64. You talked, obviously, the Magic guards. Jalen Green continues to play well without Dylan Brooks here. It's Minnesota, but a matchup for him. There's plenty of guys. Kelly Oubre played a lot of minutes. Maybe Ben Mathurin steps up a little bit without Nembar. Grayson Allen I have in the value section of the playbook today. To me, I think there's some value plays in the mid-tier plays that you can go to. That I would have no problem putting into the lineups.
Yeah, I would just add DeJounte Murray in that range. He hasn't been necessarily great. He's also been floated around in a lot of trade talk. If Atlanta continues to lose, he's likely gone. So, but there's obviously a ceiling on a guy who has 40 actual in like multiple games this year, and
went for 42 in the same matchup.
Right, and there's 260 total.
Sure. Value plays, as we mentioned, a couple of guys that could be impacted by the Nembhard news. Matherin's down here at $5,700. Duncan Robinson's 51. We'll see what they do with Cody Martin. Anthony Black, 47. Not really my favorite spot for him. Norm Powell, 46. I don't mind. Given the role that he tends to have, then I guess if Luka's out, people would be playing Jaden Hardy, right?
Probably, yeah. I know that Josh Green is checking in as the highest rostered player of the slate.
Yep.
That's kind of stayed consistent throughout the day, and there's a lot of things attached to that because it's not just Luka. Grant Williams is questionable. They ruled out Dante Exum, so like they're people just assuming Josh Green's going to start in that. And
Yeah,
he's played good minutes over the last couple games anyway. But if Grant Williams were to be out, I mean, Josh Green's pretty much penciled into like 30 minutes.
Josh Green definitely a core value play tonight. And then Sam Merrill gets some more love as a value shooting guard, $3,900. Those of you looking for some value, played 29 minutes in the game against the Wizards. Should get blowout run. He finished the entire fourth quarter in that game. With the blowout. So expect him on the floor. Moving over to small forward, where you said you got more plays that you like here. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard's 86 dual positional eligibility. Where's your favorite small forward tonight, Sir James?
So like Kawhi is very interesting. The 40 minutes is obviously amazing considering he missed a week or 11 days. And we've seen Kawhi's injury history, not allow this to happen. But 2 games after returning 40 minutes after playing 34 and 20 minutes in the first half of that Miami game, probably would have played more. I like Kawhi quite a bit. He would probably my favorite Clipper. 50 fantasy points in 3 of the last 5, and one of those he didn't get 50. He had 49. So I like Kawhi. I like Lauri Markkanen in tournaments. Okay. I don't love the peripheral stats, and we didn't mention Jordan Clarkson as shooting guard, but 6,200 for Jordan Clarkson. If Utah can shoot the ball like they've been shooting the ball lately, winners of 5 of 6 games, they're also 1 game out of the play-in tournament right now, which and if you look at what Utah's done, it's mostly been at home where they've had all their success. They're like 11-5 at home. And traveling to Boston is not easy. If this game does stay competitive, Lauri Markkanen is going to obviously play a large factor in it. And we're going to talk about another Utah Jazz small forward, but this is a guy who can light it up. 30 actual we've now seen in 3 of his last 6 games, and in all 3 of those games, 40 plus fantasy points, 2 of which he's gone for 50. The rebounds have kind of taken a hit lately. For a guy who's averaged 8 or more this year, he hasn't hit that number in 3 straight games. I expect that to get back on track. So Markkanen in tournaments, I think Utah's a sneaky cover tonight against Boston, who plays.
Boston doesn't really cover a lot of spreads,
and they have a front end of a back-to-back, not an easy back-to-back tomorrow against one of the fastest paced teams in the league. So
Boston just 10-6 at home against the spread, 16-15-2 overall this year against the spread. That said, they are 16-0 overall at home.
Yeah, I do not think Utah wins.
Right.
Boston's not losing this game at home. I'm just saying. I mean, they did almost lose to Detroit, but they're not going to lose this game. I think Utah could shoot their way into it being competitive.
Sure. Mid-tier guys, you mentioned on the show this morning, you thought Jalen Williams was kind of an okay spot here against Brooklyn at 72. Are you touching Levine or Vucevic here tonight?
No, 25 to 30 minutes for Levine. He hadn't been good playing 40 minutes.
Great. No, I agree. It's really throwing up the chemistry, I think, in that spot for them. Jaime Jaquez, 6,300. Karis LeVert, 64. Bogdan, guys we've talked about already. We discussed in the morning show that I wasn't really buying into OG at this spot. Anything changed for you here?
No.
Value plays. If there is no Luka, I imagine Tim Hardaway becomes a bit more appealing at 6K.
Yeah, can't play Tim Hardaway at 6K unless Luka's out.
Sure.
Especially
apparently, if you're on FanDuel, you can't play this game anyways. According to Beantown, it's not even on the late slate; it's on the express slate. So, why? Yeah. Oh, they're
doing?
making it unfun for their client base here. Yep. Aaron Neesmith, $5,500. Fontecchio, $5,300.
Yeah, and Brown 53 for that matter. 20 minutes upon return.
Did Brown get officially ruled in on that run?
No, we don't. No, they didn't. No, we just
they did,
just the
Nembhard out. That's it.
Yeah, just the Nembhard news. So if Brown plays, he's in that fixed. It's just hard to play Pacers not named Halliburton. It really is, because it's just it fluctuates matchup to matchup. I mean, who's to say Buddy Hield, who's played 21 or 13, 21, 18 minutes, doesn't play 30 minutes tonight? Or who's to say
he did play 30 minutes against Atlanta the last time out?
I mean, it's just impossible to figure out. So all these guys, as much as we'd want to get Indiana exposure, it's very difficult. Fontecchio is very solid based on what we've seen lately too.
Are you putting your eggs in the Caleb Houston or Chuma Okeke basket today?
I am putting my eggs in the third basket that doesn't include either of them. Okay. No, I mean, there's obviously a case for them.
One of them both starts, right? So
there's a case for them. Yeah, there's a case to be made. The problem is there's zero discount on these guys. Zero. Not a singular discount was given on that day. So, and when you look at Orlando's ownership, I'm not sure. I think Paolo's the only one people are actually playing. I don't think anyone's actually even considering Orlando. And Paolo's not even getting a lot of ownership in his own right. It's just, I don't feel like the Orlando guys are going to beat me in Denver tonight. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just a stance I'm willing to take on an 11-game
show. No, I agree with you. I don't think it's a great spot for either of them either. Any other value small forwards for you?
I mean, I feel like the Caleb Houston play is almost the same as Jayshawn Tate for anyone wanting to get to Jayshawn Tate at 4,800. I don't know why you would want to, but Jayshawn Tate, did you see, John, that in that game, the last game that Houston played, did you see who got 17 minutes off the bench in that game?
Who got 17 minutes? Your boy?
Cam Whitmore played 17 minutes off the bench. First, he got not a lot of first half run, but he got 5 minutes. He only played 2 minutes of blowout, so he saw 15.
Working his way into the spot.
15 minutes of normal action,
sure.
He took 7 shots in 17 minutes.
It's a good dart throw if you're making multiple lineups tonight.
Just throwing it out there.
Power forward here. You got KD questionable, Jason Tatum 97. Top 2 price guys here. Randall's at 88. Banchero been a monster, but has that Denver matchup here at 87. We've talked Leonard and DeRozan already. So are you prioritizing any of the top 3 there?
Prioritizing, no. You can get to any of them.
Sure.
No one's going to fault you if you want to get to Tatum. He has a massive ceiling for Friday nights against Utah. Julius Randle has been incredible since just all year, but 35 and 39 with their new constructed roster, and the minutes have been incredible for Randle. Banchero's playing monster minutes and just being a monster in general, 50 plus in 4 straight games. So I'm not prioritizing any of them, but I'm not going to fault you if you land on any of them.
Working our way down into the mid-tier range. I do like Kristaps Porzingis a lot tonight. On FanDuel, you can build a lineup that includes Embiid, Porzingis, and Jared Allen. Porzingis and Jared Allen are both power forward eligible. So if you want to go all 3 there, I think you could. And it's a pretty decent 3-man trio if you're going that direction. Zion Williamson is $7,700. Karl Anthony Towns is $7,200. I know he has not been playing all that well, but he is not a $7,200 player. So a really nice discount on Towns tonight. I know the Houston isn't the best spot, but he's going to be matched up against Jabari Smith for some of this game. And then, doesn't have to deal with Tyrese and, whoever their backup power forward end up being, like Jeff Green. Towns is going to have a pretty good spot, I think, tonight in this matchup against Houston.
Yeah, the ownership reflects it too. That was one of the first things we talked about last night, right? We got the power forward, whoa. We said that at 7,800. We were like, that's interesting, and then it's just going down. And I can't like fault the algorithm for doing this. I mean, he hasn't like necessarily popped outside of the Indiana game of late, but 72 is pretty silly for a guy with multi-position eligibility, and like he scored 60 in a game last year. Or last year?
Yep.
2 years ago?
Last year.
Scored 60 in a game at some point. Last year, right? Against the Spurs.
He's a 10K play. So I mean, it's just it's
Yep.
what he used to be. So mention there, he's there. You got Zion in that range. Jalen Johnson, I know, is your guy though tonight. He's the cover of tonight's live stream.
That's what he's doing, because he's saying, "You over there, you see you, you play me, and I will reward you with lots of fantasy points." Because that's what he's been doing. I mean, dude, in this OKC game, he got an early foul trouble, came back, dominated the whole second quarter, picked up his third foul, dominated the start of the third, picked up his fourth foul, came back in, picked up his fifth, didn't matter, still dominated. I mean, dude, he went for 50 in 29 minutes. I'm not like saying like, oh, what if he plays 38 minutes tonight? He's going to score 70. Like, no. But look what he's doing every night. He's just going to play big minutes as long as he stays out of foul trouble. 35, 37 minutes as well within the range of outcomes here. He is clearly a key contributor offensively that he like was earlier in the year, but not like this. I mean, we were 18 shots a game. Jalen Johnson was not a thing.
Jalen Johnson,
you know, this is an ascension, dude. This is an ascension for sure. And you've talked about it like on multiple back-to-back shows. Like the rebounds have been incredible too. So there's really nothing wrong. He gets you 3 to 4 assists a game. He has multiple steal upside. He knocks down threes. He's just an elite. Yeah, if you're Atlanta and like you keep faltering, like when the phone starts ringing, hey, like what's available? Just don't ask me about Trey. Just don't ask me about Jalen Johnson, and then don't ask me about Onyeka Ngakwu. But hey, anything else, you know, throwing
a wrench into the Brooklyn Nets, who we weren't playing anyways today. Lonnie Walker back and Dennis Smith Jr. So
yeah, I saw the Lonnie Walker probable tag earlier today, and I was like, oh, okay, that's gonna make things.
So we have no idea who's gonna play, when they're gonna play, how they're gonna play, or how many minutes they're gonna play. We do know that they're $100,000 lighter as an organization. So we'll see what happens there.
That is true.
Mentioned Kaz already, just playing all the minutes in the world at $6,300, gets the Phoenix spot here.
Yep.
Sadiq Bey at $5,900, playing a whole lot of minutes too. I know you said that. Obviously, Ogankwu and Johnson, all those guys back. He got some foul trouble. Still playing 34, 32, 36 minutes. I mean, this is a spot where he had a double-double against the Pacers in their first meeting here. I still like Bey tonight at 59.
Yeah, man, I like the price for sure. Like the price going down. He is not shooting as well as I think Atlanta hoped he would. I mean, 34% from 3, he's better than that. If you get him back up to like a 40% shooter, I mean, most nights he's taking somewhere between 6 to 8 threes. If he makes half or more than half of his threes, I mean, he's a double-double with like a 16-point double-double waiting to happen. So if the shots begin to fall for Sadiq Bey, he has a really solid ceiling floor combination at 5,900 in a game with just all the points. I don't know how to describe it. Just all the points in the world are going to be scored in this game.
Do you give Jalen Smith any love here? I know only 20 minutes for him the other day, but still 26 fantasy points. Matchup for him. Do you like Toppin more? Like, what's your thoughts overall?
It's really hard to like project, but I don't think Jalen Smith is long for this game with Jalen Johnson on the other side of this matchup.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like he can stretch the floor, but the athleticism that Johnson has is gonna. I think this is a Toppin Nesmith game if I've ever seen one. Like one of those two guys plays all the minutes. Who? Good luck guessing. Toppin obviously has been really, really good of late, and like he's very well could have played himself into like more playing time. That seemingly hasn't mattered to Rick Carlisle very much per Ben Matherin's game logs this year, or just play overall. But Yeah.
Sure.
Not
A lot of things looming. Obviously, we need official starting lineups, but if Jovic is starting again here at 44, we certainly have some interest. If like Kevin Love was starting, we would have some interest. So just be on the lookout for the Miami Heat news here tonight. Whoever they have starting at their power forward spot, we're going to probably have some interest here against Phoenix. If KD starts, well, maybe Jovic is in a little bit of a tougher matchup than he actually would have been, but. We know that he, again, first round pick last year, has some potential. And then you talked up, if there is no KD, got old Bull here at $3,800. 20 and 19 minutes last 2 games for him, 23 and 25 fantasy points. It is wild, and we talked about it on the show this morning. He was really good for Orlando last year, and then he did something. I don't know what, but he did something that just cost him that rotation spot. And never played again. And now he struggled to find a rotation. Like, I don't get it. He's a 7'4" stretch, right? Like in a league where Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren are making plays.
For real.
You're telling me Bull can't find a spot in the lineup? What are we doing here? It's not Thon Maker, he's
good shout there. Good shout. He started so I just wanted to look just to see what he started 33 games last year, John. Mm-hmm. In those games, 28 minutes, 12.5 points, 7 rebounds, over a block per game, half a steal per game, assists per game. What did Bull do to deserve this?
That's what I'm saying. What happened? Where is, did you see what Taco Fall's doing in overseas?
No, but I can imagine he's dominating.
Oh, he's dominating, absolutely dominating. Guy, they've never seen anybody like him in their life. So,
yeah, right.
But like, he's not Taco Fall. Bull was able to like start and be a very productive player in the NBA.
He can dribble. He can shoot, as you mentioned. Like, if there's no Kevin Durant, I would seriously consider Bull. I will say on the Jovic front, sometimes when it comes to Miami specifically, I feel like sometimes the matchups don't matter because they play so much zone.
Yeah.
They played the whole game against the Lakers, they just played zone because they were like, hey, they can't make a 3. So
right.
Let's make them shoot threes, right? Like, so just throwing that out there.
Yep. Center spot here. We have Joel Embiid 11-5. That's it.
Yeah.
I got nothing else to say.
Like, if anyone listened to the show this morning, John asked what the number 1 play of the slate was, and I said Joel Embiid. And like, John was like, yeah, I can't really disagree. And like, when we went to lineup building, we didn't build with Joel Embiid, and that's no reflection of Joel Embiid. It's everything to do with the rest of the positions.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about a value point guard that we liked. And we're going to talk about center is a much harder position because there's just one. Like you could play Halliburton in 3 spots. We can only play Embiid in 2, and we're not going to play Embiid in the 7:30 game in our util spot. Like, that just caps us a little bit.
It has nothing to do with the fact that we don't think Joel Embiid could go for 90 fantasy points tonight.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. Now, Beantown's passing in, like, McConnell now becomes a value play, right? Because Nembhard is out. You could now pivot to a McConnell value point guard and get Joel Embiid in your lineup and go that direction. But again, it's all about what you're sacrificing. I think we had a lineup build that had Halliburton and Embiid in it, like, briefly.
Yeah.
And it wasn't great. It didn't look great. It had Chuma Okeke and Jovic and Bull and,
sure did.
It wasn't good. And this is as much as it's frustrating with DraftKings this year and FanDuel, like, we kind of wanted this. We didn't enjoy the days of just like stars and scrubbing when you were legit filling your lineups with, 2 top end guys. Like, so now you got to make some decisions here. You're either playing the Atlanta guards or you're playing Joel Embiid, or you're playing Atlanta Indy guards or you're playing Joel Embiid tonight. That's your choice, or you're really stars and scrubbing it.
What do you think Embiid's ownership, and this might not matter, but like, if Kyrie becomes team, like if it's just Kyrie, Does that move the needle for you a little bit to then start looking at Embiid Kyrie pairings?
Yeah, cool. Because I think we were always playing Embiid plus like DeJounte Murray, right? Like, wouldn't we just find the $400 to play Kyrie Irving here?
Yeah, I mean, I think like just building Kyrie Embiid, if that was like Joel Embiid's 4% owned.
No,
okay?
I know.
I am going to figure out a way to play Joel Embiid tonight. I'm just gonna say it. Like
You're gonna find a way to play both. Is that what you said?
I'm gonna play Embiid, and I'm gonna figure out what to
okay.
do. I'm gonna figure out what to do next because whoever thinks that this is coming to an end, like, prove it. Like, tell me when it's coming to an end when a dude goes for a whole month of 40 and 10. Like,
and now he's got Isaiah Hartenstein.
Dude, it's just and to be fair, the Knicks should be a more competitive. This should be a competitive game where we actually see Joel Embiid play a fourth quarter, right?
We hope. They are 9-point home favorites.
I'm just saying, like, in theory, the Knicks with OG is plus 55 plus minus in his first two games, right? Like, again, I'm not saying OG is just like a championship changer.
Yeah.
But if they're going to be this good with this lineup, then maybe there is something to be said about them just being in this game more and being more competitive despite it being on the road. And I'm just having a hard time looking at Joel Embiid's, despite the fact that it's obviously a position where you can, like, arguably Jared Allen has the same, not ceiling, but Jared Allen per dollar, you can make a case for as a better play than
2 of the last 6 games where he's played at least 35 minutes, he scored 50 actual. So
just like this, like, there is a case to say Jared Allen is a per dollar a better play than Joel Embiid tonight. And I can't, like, sit here and argue it because
him or Kristaps Porzingis, right? Allen or Kristaps Porzingis, to me, I think both have 50 to 60 fantasy point potential if those games force them into spots to play the minute. Allen did it in 29. He had 56 fantasy points. Washington hasn't acquired a new center.
No, they have not.
So, and what do we keep talking about Jared Allen? The assist numbers on the rise are improving his ceiling. He's scoring more, like the rebounds are legitimate because there's nobody else boarding. Got Dean Wade out next to him. I mean, like, it's a great spot. It's why when we built our lineup, I plugged Jared Allen in and we had Halliburton, right? But if you think he's playing 35 minutes tonight, then yeah, Joel Embiid can score 50-point triple-double probably. Really, right?
If you ever were to get, like, I don't know if they went to overtime in that Cleveland game, just looking through, like, the box score for Joel Embiid, he played 41 minutes. If Joel Embiid ever played 40-minute regulation, you would get the 100-point fantasy game that we got when he faced the Lakers. Actually, he's done it twice against the Lakers, right? Hasn't he scored 100 fantasy points against the Lakers twice?
He also doesn't need it, by the way. He went for 81 fantasy points in 29 minutes in Portland. So
right. Look, let me be clear. He doesn't need it. I'm just saying, if this game stays competitive and you were to get absolute ceiling minute game Joel Embiid, 37, 38, 39, there's nobody scoring more fantasy points.
You think we've had a couple of 90 fantasy point games this season, and they weren't from Embiid because he's only been playing 3 quarters. So, yeah, listen. And Cameron, for value, if you wanted to go down to Nick Richards tonight, like, you could, 5,700. The price is down. The minutes are going to be there for him. Like, he's fine. 30
double double machine.
Yeah,
on nights he plays 30 minutes.
Yep. No, I mean, again, we think Walker Kessler could be in that range. Zubac, Goga, if there's no Wendell Carter tonight at $5,600, maybe. We talked Kevin Love. If he was going to get the minutes, he played 28 minutes, gave you 37 fantasy points. There's definitely some value centers on the slate if you want to get there. But when I was doing the playbook today, I'm like, I'm either like getting Embiid or I'm going Porzingis, Jared Allen. I'm kind of just calling it. I mean, there are, those are the 3 that I feel strongly enough to put in my lineups tonight. If I need some value, I think we've talked about a couple of guys we can take a look at down here. Top and dual positional eligibility, Chuma Okeke. If there's no Wendell Carter, maybe Mo Wagner gets a little bit more of a push. Jovic has dual positional eligibility. Larry Nance is here at $4,300. If you wanted to go in that direction, Duarte Brief isn't ruled out. He's probably starting at center tonight at 4K.
He got ejected last game. He just
that's all it was.
Yeah, foul trouble and got ejected. And remember we talked about the centers last night?
Yeah.
Dude, here's Portland's front court tonight. DeAndre Ayton out, Moses Brown out, Jabari Walker questionable.
Yeah.
That means Ibu Baji and his 6 fouls come into a theater near you in 15 minutes. And then the rest of the minutes, they're just like, hey, get out there and give us what you can, right? Like it's
Isaiah Jackson's here too at 4K.
Yep.
Backup center for the Pacers here. So there's definitely some value centers tonight if you wanted to get there. Talked Bol already. If you wanted to find a way to go there, it's just when I build my lineups today, when I was kind of playing around with the playbook and getting that ready for all you guys, I was living in that Drummond, Porzingis, Allen range, and I was just kind of moving through. Can't do Drummond anymore with Vucevic back. So even on the limitations, kind of hard to go. We like Towns, dual positional eligibility. Sure, if you wanted to plug him in at center, you certainly could do that. But it's just where I am at tonight, man.
Agreed. So this was one note maybe to mention, and I think this has to do with Chet being on the opposite side of the game. But Nick Claxton played 37 minutes in that first meeting. I just don't think they could go Daron Sharp with Chet spacing the floor. And you kind of saw that last game where Daron Sharp played 8 minutes, and Daron Sharp's been a guy playing 20 every night, right? So if they elect to like randomly let Claxton go, which they've done in a couple spots this year, this being one of them where he played 37 minutes, he has 50 fantasy point upside. But other than that, like there's not much.
I'm not doing him in his return game.
So he's on a restriction. So like 7,800 is just like if he played 30 minutes, could he double and have like 18 points? Sure, but it just doesn't seem like something we want to do.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just throwing some names in lineups here. We're gonna need to make probably a decision on
Jovic
somewhere. Yeah,
Jovic or Reith.
Yeah,
probably one of the two.
Reith at least feels safer in that spot. 55-50 small forward and a guard.
Josh Green.
Yeah, Josh Green's a good one.
And you have money to get up to. Drummond is like the problem is
putting time with Vucevic. So
yeah, the best case for Drummond is 22 minutes, 23 minutes, 24 minutes, but he's 8,300. That maybe if he was like 6K and they like assumed Vucevic was going to be back, but we know Drummond has a lot of fantasy point upside in a short period of time, but that just feels like one of those scenarios where I'd stay away from.
Get our Atlanta Indy alt stack, the non-stars Atlanta Indy stack. No Trey, no Halliburton. You got McConnell, DeJounte, Toppin, Bojan, Jalen Johnson. Surrounded by Joel Embiid.
And also, with that lineup, you also have if we were to find out Kyrie early enough or Luka early enough, we could pivot from Murray to Kyrie too in that spot.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm not saying you had to, but just if you wanted to, if you felt the need to spend the $800.
Yeah, I agree. So guys, just an example lineup for everybody. Again, the playbook is out. Will be updated as needed here for the night. If you have any questions, you can find us over on Twitter or get in that Discord. But till then, everybody, we'll catch you later. Maybe for tomorrow's slate. Possibly.
Possibly.
We'll see. Possibly, maybe. We'll see.
We will possibly maybe see.
We will possibly maybe see for tomorrow's slate. We'll talk to you guys later.